Hi, welcome to episode 8, and I'm excited. I think we're going to have a lot to get done this time. First, though, I want to run downstairs while I talk. So, one thing that happens in this game is you'll notice these are connected because we have a little power transmitter heading over there. We have a little power transmitter heading there. We have conveyors heading over here. So when my game loads, my central power supply loads, and then everything nearby loads, and then everything connected to something nearby loads. So research is running, etc. However, down at the bottom of my map right now, I have some gold mine, titanium mine, and nickel mine, which aren't connected to anything. So it's going to think that I don't have a titanium mine until I get near that. So I'm going to, while I'm talking right now, I'm going to run downstairs just to load up my titanium, nickel, and gold, because I think I have the nickel going. I need more nickel ore. And give it a little power and keep accumulating those bars. So for this episode, I'm going to start on my scrap, or my freight cart setup. It's, so when I saw the patch notes for patch 21, I had, I guess, misread them. I thought that freight carts were being moved to the main game. However, apparently they was not moved to the main game. It is being made part of the Adventure Pack DLC, which is not available yet. And it's also available for Patreon supporters. I am a Patreon supporter, but this is dumb. I apparently can't figure out how to get messages on Patreon working. So I can't send a message to get the Steam key in order to get early access to the DLC. So I'm just not going to worry about it. I went looking, and the Steveman had originally made freight carts as a mod, and that mod is still available. So I have added that mod. Let me make sure my gold is at least loaded, though I don't think I'm gonna be doing much more power there. Yeah, save most of my power for my nickel, which I really need. Steveman made the mod freight carts quite a while ago, and he's revamped it a couple of times and improved it. And that's the bulk of what was moved into the main game. So I'm just going to play with the mod for now. I feel horrible doing a whole series and actually having viewers and stuff for a feature that they can't even get. I mean, well, that's fine if I were doing a couple episodes, but as we all know, beating this game takes hundreds of hours, and if I actually end up doing hundreds of hours on a series, I want to at least do something that other people have some chance of doing sometime. So, mods it is. If you don't have mods, but you want to add them, this game is set up to make it really easy. You can just use the Steam Workshop, you subscribe to them, you probably have to restart the game, and there you go. Takes care of things. That means that I should now have scrap carts when I get up there. Scrap carts are the super slow version, which actually probably would have been available if I'd had the mod installed much earlier than now. The downside is they are slow, obviously, but they're really kind of cheap as far as resources go, and with how very expensive the next tier of minecarts is, we're probably going to be on scrap carts for quite a while. So, one thing about freight carts that I want to make clear to everybody is it is kind of slower. I enjoy it. It helps the way my brain works. I understand better how like kind of those setups work. But it's definitely not the only way, and there are strong arguments that that's not even the best way. For freight carts, the neat thing is you can set up your freight stations on your rail setup, your minecart setup, so that it can request a material or it can make available a material. So I can just set up a little station that, say, is smelting copper, and the copper that comes out of that I can just make available on the network. And then later, somewhere else, I'm doing my copper wire, I set up a station to request copper, And when I do that, slowly but surely, copper will get delivered. So the downside here is you have to wait a little while your freight carts deliver it. You have to spend a lot of resources on the freight cart rails and cars. Uh-oh. Trying not to kill myself again, but it might happen. So a fair amount of resources on those, and you also end up with some extra bars or components or whatever sitting around in storage containers, and they're just kind of sitting there keeping the system full. The other method, the kind of conveyor-based method that is, I think, more traditional, is a little more direct, but the downsides there are if you see the screenshots of just these giant banks of conveyors stacked on giant banks of conveyors, that's the downside. Everything in your game basically has to be connected, and not just once. So with freight carts, you're kind of connecting it once, right? You have a mine track that has to go around everything. But with conveyors, we have advanced filters, but they're only really, you only use them in certain situations. Otherwise, you're going to have multiple lines of conveyors everywhere, kind of like in Factorio. And you'd think it'd be easier to work with that in 3D space in FortressCraft. It kind of is. You can make any shape you need to, but it's also a pain because you have to dig everything out. You have to make sure you have room to get through later. So you can do this great, 4x4 chunk of conveyors going somewhere, but you're going to need to build a bridge over it or dig a tunnel under it just so you can get back over that way later. So plus and minus, right? Earlier, I had dropped some nickel bars in here, and they aren't running. Let's figure out why. This is remove only. This is coal. Why? This should be running. Intermediate pods. We got plenty of remove only. We got coal in there. Add and remove. Our PTGs do have power. They're sitting in top of the... remove only. Oops. Add and remove. There we go. That can, the nickel can get going and it can do the research. I had started metal alloys earlier. I kind of regret it now because that's going to use up a bunch of nickel, but whatever. So, first goal. I do want to replace my copper smelter with a better smelter, but I think now to make smelters, I'm going to need to do some automation. Yeah, I need to set up gold foil, titanium housing, and secondary upgrade modules. Or I can do some mine carts, start getting that going. I have just a wealth of things I could get done right now. Sometimes it's hard to choose. In theory, keep going. I should have them. Maybe I should have checked this before I started recording. I don't see them. Do I have a new project? Aha, freight carts. Now I should have freight carts. So the difference between freight carts as opposed to the kind of more traditional mine carts. So right now in vanilla with freight carts, if you make freight carts, it just kind of, they go in a line. It picks up whatever it encounters, it drops off whatever it encounters, and then it can loop back around and do it again. So you kind of have to just build a line for one thing, right? So you have like one gold line, and you can stick add and remove on there. It goes back to that same problem with the conveyors where you typically want to move around a lot of stuff. So you end up doing a bunch of lines, and it gets bulky and in the way. Freight carts as I was saying earlier, it adds that ability for them to be more intelligent about where they're going. And once they get there, it can either grab something or drop something off depending on how the freight cart station is configured. And it can go in any direction. It can turn anytime there's a station, so you don't even have to build in like a circle like you would expect for a lot of mine or a lot of train sort of stuff. Yeah, that's it on our carts for now. I want to build like 100 scrap carts. I want to get everything I need for the carts so that I don't have to run back and forth. Freight cart stations. We'll need these.
Crafting.
I'm going to do just like 5
Crafting.
for now. We'll need the carts, but that can wait a little while. Or freighter. We'll set up an ore setup later because I enjoy them, but everything I was saying about these being slow, the ore is kind of slower. I'm pretty sure it's slower. It's probably less. Well, no. I don't know. It's different. I can't decide if it's less materials than doing it the... So copper wire, that's pretty easy.
Crafting.
Got 125. Let's do a little
Crafting.
more. 1,
Crafting.
2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Crafting.
We'll need some corners, which means we need some more copper wire. Probably need a fair amount of copper wire. And I saw that we're going to need 10 plates. Let those run for a second. Oh, we already had some copper wire. And we're out of power. Oh, and we're out of coal. Ah, my coal ran out while I wasn't looking. So, first thing I should do is set up a new coal mine. Alright, this will take a minute to get power working back through the system and get going. We're gonna need some corners.
Crafting.
I'll get a couple slopes. I don't know how quickly I'll need them. We're gonna need one of these.
Crafting.
A freight cart depot. And we're gonna need some freight carts themselves. We'll do 5 for now. And the first place I know I'm gonna want to run carts is over here. Let me set up a hotbar for this. Back to that earlier wonderful tip. Hit middle mouse button. Let's do corners. Actually, let's do junctions, then corners, then slopes, then stations on 5. We're gonna need, it's really common for me to do these storage hoppers. You need storage hoppers, so I'm gonna put storage hoppers on this bar.
Crafting.
If I can figure out what I did with them. There we go. Let's add the carts here. Once we plunk down our first freight cart depot, we're not really going to need that anymore. But let's stick it there for now. That's it. Oh, and one more awesome sort of tip I got from the comments from the Only Dude 1983 is I can put my ampules in the suit upgrade area and it will automatically use them. So that makes them a lot more useful for me, actually. Maybe I'll explore how to get them going and use them. I'm sure I'll use these up pretty quickly as I kill myself with the grappling hook, but in the meantime, at least they're out of the way. And the first, so the first area that I know where exactly I'm putting down my carts is right here. So let me just put them down, just as a marker to remind myself that this was where they were going. And then my floor, most of the time, is going to be raised like this. And I need to set up kind of my entry point, the way that carts enter the system. So on traditional mine carts, they enter once and then they're kind of always flowing. For freight carts, the neat thing is they go off, do what they mean to do, and then when they're done, they come back to their home, to the depot, and they go back into the storage cart. So probably my biggest tip if you are going to use freight carts is to make sure you always have plenty of the carts themselves. If you ever look over and your storage bin is empty, that means that you don't have enough. Something's gone wrong. You should add them in pretty much immediately. Or if that seems really weird, sometimes you have to track down where they are. Sometimes they can get stuck in odd places and you'll find a bunch of them just sitting there. Right here is actually a pretty good place to do this. So I'm gonna dig in by 2. I like to build a little roundabout. I'm not sure it's actually necessary, but okay. Another nice thing of many from the freight carts mod feature is the junction. So the junction, when a freight cart hits this, it can go in any valid direction. It can go straight or it can go left. I wonder why it's still saying no valid. I don't know. And that's part of why we don't have to worry about having everything tie to each other, because we have that being... We're going to go back by... this is kind of big. We're just going to do 1 and go back by 2. We need corners. I'm just building a little box here. And then over here, I'm going to stick down my freight cart depot. Beside the depot goes a storage hopper, which I fill with my freight carts. And right now they're not going to come out because I don't have anything set up that provides or needs. I don't have any of the stations on the network. So let's get, how about here? So in the future, I'm going to want this one to be requesting iron bars. So you'll see here network ID. You get to name your own network. I usually do one for bars, and then I do a couple other ones. I'll do one for components. I'll do one for fuel. So we'll start bars. The freight here is going to be iron bar. And our target stock is 100. So in an ideal world, we want 100 iron bars right over here in this connected storage hopper. Right now, we're not providing any bars, so nothing's going to happen. I need to decide how and where I want to provide the bars. So eventually, we're going to have a mine bringing ore up to the top, feeding into a smelter, and then that smelter is going to be where the bars are provided to the network. For right now, when I start off, we got a little while to go on that, so I will usually just build an area where I can hand provide bars for now as I'm building out the system. And I'm gonna use mass storage for that this time, I decided. You can do it a couple different ways. I could do a line of 7 different storage hoppers, or I can just set up a nice big mass storage area and start feeding it in. I don't know if I have everything I need for mass storage, but let's give it a try. I'm trying to decide how I want to lay this out. So I'd like a nice long one right there. And then I'm gonna need to go here to get over to the research anyway. So I actually might want to do right through here, and I'll have to take apart this. That was temporary anyway. Hopefully I have enough to see me for now, and then we'll see in a bit if not. Oh, I forgot something I would like to have on here, which is a block. What was I doing? Concrete? No, that's not it. It was the one with the grooved cement. That's what I was doing. Let's put this over on 7. Oh. Craft 1. Over on 7. Where'd it go? Oh, I'm right over it. Okay. Hey, I found some coal. So I like to, as I mentioned earlier, as I start getting more construction paste, and I have quite a bit now, I've got 10K, I like to start replacing the floors. I think you run a little faster. Maybe not. Nope. It has to be a reinforced block before you run faster, and I noticed that not much is a reinforced block anymore. Maybe I should be doing the chilled. Maybe they removed reinforced blocks from the game. I'm not really sure about this. I'll stick with this for now. But I do like to start replacing with the blocks so everything looks consistent. That's just me. I like how the normal grounds look, but what I don't like is if sooner or later I have to dig a hole and then I have to put it back. And you can never, like, I mean, I guess you could. You can sit there with the paint gun and color the ground to get it the exact shade that kind of matches with the gradient. But that's another game. Like that can take over your life. I don't want to do that. So I usually just pick a creative block or two and just kind of redo things as I go so that when I have to dig a hole and I put a block back, I can just use the creative block and it doesn't look out of place. That, I understand, is a little crazy. And then I will get this hooked up so it's supplying our bars, and then I'm gonna want to work on a lot of building out this room some more. So, oh, first I'm gonna need to set up my coal again, but let me check on how this is doing, and I'm gonna actually steal some coal too. This is probably getting close. I don't know how deep it goes back there. If it's flat, it's probably getting a little close to clearing out. All right, and that, I'm gonna add a little bit of a berm, just because, and then I'm gonna extend around our scrap rails. I still haven't figured out how much of an effect it has if you randomly switch direction on the track. At least for the freight carts. I do see sometimes the carts will just randomly switch direction, like they'll spin in a circle like they just switched direction, but it doesn't seem to correspond to anything going on with the track, so I'm not sure what's up with that, or don't know. I usually do try to get them all in one fairly consistent direction, at least on a long line. I'm not sure if I need to. Okay. And then I want to set up mass storage, I had said. Yeah. We already finished metal alloys. There is nothing I desperately need right now, and I'm just gonna let it do its thing, because I know I got a lot of building to do, and so it used to be you spent a lot of time waiting on your research, but you know, I'm not waiting on research this time around. That's interesting. I think I noticed they must have lowered the costs on some of them things, but not everything. Mass storage. Mass storage is also pretty cool. I researched these earlier. I don't think I researched the recipes yet, though. We're going for... There we go. I wish I could just highlight a bunch of these instead of having to scroll down this every time. So mass storage blocks, mass storage stocking port, and mass storage output port. So there's been an upgrade in the last year or so where now the mass storage input port is a stocking port, and you can put a limit, which makes mass storage incredibly more useful. It used to be you had to be careful because your mass storage would completely fill with whatever you were making too much of, and now you can avoid that. So that's great news. I'm going to need to make a fair number of the blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll do 8 for now. I'm going to need 1 stocking port because I'm doing it manually for now. I don't need an output port yet because I'm going to be using stations. Oh, and a good thing too because I need servo motors for that. So when you're working with freight carts, another cool thing, there are many cool things, I can put down a freight cart station right beside, I'm going to need another hotbar. So hotbar 4 can be my setup on mass storage, where I'm going to need a stocking port. That's all I really have yet right now. You can stick the station right beside the mass storage. And then in the mass storage, what's the best way to do this? Probably I want to put it right here. So we'll put a stock and that for easily putting in bars. And where did I put my hills? I don't want up though, I want down. Okay. Once you have your mass storage built, you're going to need a stocking port to get things into it. If you hover over this, you'll see that my stack height is 1 of 1 in the bottom left. So it would only build up by 1 and then stop. I can do that stack height all the way up to 6. You'll notice the difference in total storage is huge here too. So right now, if it's 6 high, I can hold 1,200 items. Or if it's only 1 high, I can only hold 200 items. So you, most of the time, occasionally you might want a 1 high stack, but most of the time you're gonna want something higher. I'm gonna set it to 4 for now. No, I'm gonna set it for 6 for now. This is going away eventually anyway. And I'm gonna go ahead and leave the stocking port actually just putting in anything I put in. So you could also set an item to stock. In a bit, I'll do that so you can see how the setup works. But for now, I want to let's add 100 copper. And then, actually, my example, my starter was iron, so maybe I should add some iron. And then I can choose which network I'm going to put this on. This is going to supply. So I'll select my existing bars network. I will set my freight to be iron bars. And target stock is 0. That means I can give it all away. I actually want to add all kinds of bars to this. So tin bar, iron bar, copper bar, lithium bar. This is the annoying part, though, of is you have to set everything up. Gold bar, titanium bar, and nickel bar. Alright, so these are all making it available. And since we have iron in there, and since we're asking for iron over there, in theory, these guys should head out. But they're not. Let's see, do I have something broken? might have to actually assign the cart. I requested one cart. And here he comes. So actually I don't want to request from this stock. I want to request from here. So I'm going to add one cart here and go take off this cart. So one thing, this is where the mod can get a little buggy. You have to watch out for that where you've added carts, because when you load up the game, it will figure out which carts have no current purpose. It will head over and reassign all your carts. So the bad news is, let's say over here on this iron I have one cart assigned and it's full. I'm not making or using much of those gears. When it fills up, sometimes the last cart in will have more than it needs. So we have a cart sitting there with 5 or 20 or whatever bars, and it can't unload. That's fine. That is kind of one cart out of commission, and that's kind of expected. If you see a pile of one cart, well, it happens. But the next time I reload the game, that station will assign another cart there, and then another cart will come along and get stuck. So after, you've played 10 or 20 times, sometimes you'll look over and you'll realize you have this huge stack of freight carts, and that's a problem. So when I'm actively using bars, I like to assign a cart, but you'll see from now on, every once in a while, I'll run along, and if I see that there's like a stack of carts, I'll make sure I've unassigned down to one or unassigned them completely. Even then, sometimes if they can't find some other station that needs iron, they can just sit there with iron in them for quite a while. So carts, you have to put a certain number of carts into the system, which are going to just sit there and be dumb. They don't know what they're doing. They can't figure out a path forward. They're just going to be dumb. What I would really love to see them do to kind of fix that is maybe add a different kind of depot, just an odds and ends station. And if that freight cart has been lost for the last 20 minutes, and no stations are requesting this item that they hold, it'll go over and dump it in the odds and ends area. That would be really nice. We'll see if they ever add something like that, though. Okay, we have my mass storage providing some bars. Might as well provide some tin, too. The next thing I wanted to do was set up the coal, though I want to make sure that I'm setting up foul cores for coal. But that's got to be another episode, right? Okay, let's decide where my coal is coming from. I don't really want to deal with running anything over to here. So let's try looking around. Someplace that would be good to hook up by rail. We got all kinds of crazy stuff. We got one over here that's a little deep, so it's probably kind of big. Yeah, right here. I don't think we can see it, but it'll be perfect. Ooh, I need to leave enough room for my room, though. So, let's make sure I'm doing that. Room walls. I only need about 2 blocks once I run in, but I need to build... Okay. Let's do our room. No, we'll do room next episode. But, so I have 2 blocks of normal, and then I'm going to come over, and I'm going to need, just set myself a placeholder. For the doorway, you need 1, 2, 3, and then the second door. And then, yeah, so 1 door, 1, 2, 3, another door, and then I'm gonna want door 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, door. And then I can stick my cart right here. I want to stick a junction there, but let's let the cart pass. Poor freight carts. They work so hard for me, and I'm always running over and just stealing the track out from under them. And then everything falls down. And half the time my inventory's full. And then it hijacks the next 10 minutes of my life as I try to clean out my inventory, pick things up before they disappear. They don't disappear very quickly in this game, but I think there's like a limit for how much can be on the ground, and yeah, I shouldn't just leave things there. I have had important things disappear on me, but rarely. And now I need to knock down this mountain in order to figure out where that coal was. There we go. Okay, that's very useful. I don't have to uncover it completely, I just wanted to figure out. And then let's do floor. Station and connect it. And let me check on my bars. Okay, I'm gonna need a drill for the coal. I got one. Oh, might as well grab another. I'll need a PTG. I'm going to do that setup where it kind of self-feeds. I got plenty of storage hoppers. I'm going to want a mini hopper, the slow one. Let's stick this right here. Close enough. I'm going to want the PTG right there, but I want to carry the PTGs. I'll replace the basic lasers, which are just so slow. I don't use them for much of anything. Like I get away from even if there's something that requires very low power, I don't bother to use those anymore. After I get out of the scarce early days. This is also important. I think, well, I don't really want to put it there though. Let's stick it right here for now. And a little coal to start things off. Oh, I didn't need that much. All right. And some conveyor. So right here, I have to have my storage hopper on the same level as the new plan. We're putting right here on number 2, 9. We're putting down 0. We're putting up. So my storage hopper has to be on the same level as my station, which I've put in the wrong spot. And so, and I like to keep the station and tracks down set by 1, which means pretty much every time I ever feed anything in, I'm going to have to do a storage hopper beside the station and then a down slope and then my conveyors. And we're going to create a new network called fuel. The freight on this is just going to be plain old coal. Target stock is 0. These are made available, and I don't need a cart because this is, again, just making things available. So over here, this had 0 in it when we started. Now we're up to 10 iron. The scrap carts are very small. I think they carry 5 bars at a time. It is slowly but surely working its way to filling that up. So if I'm waiting on something like iron gears, this is extremely inefficient. I might as well just go over and dump some in. But once I get this set up for every line, everything I'm automating, my research, the coal for the research, it runs in the background and things end up pretty well stocked. And that's necessary. As the game progresses, I'm going to need more and more materials to make things. I'm going to need, I'm going to not need anything. Like, I don't need any of these little storage hoppers for a long time, and then suddenly I'm building a big project and I need like 40 of them. So I want to be able to go over there and discover that, hey, in the 3 hours I've been ignoring it, it built 40 of these things for me. Great news. Alright, I've set up my coal. I wanted a smelter for the copper. I want to improve that smelter. I want to... Does this tell me? Yeah. So when you mouse over a station like this that's connected to mass storage, it actually tells me what's being offered. Like, I'm offering up 6 copper bars. I might as well offer up a little more. And I can add more things and have them ready as they're needed. I also... Yeah. I think the housings and stuff I need for the smelter, most of them don't need power, but I bet the primary upgrade module one does need power. And I don't know if I can make those yet. Let's see. So I'm gonna need I do need a secondary upgrade module maker. It only requires a titanium. Well, no, that's to make the thing. Okay. How do I make a titanium housing? I believe I have a housing crafter somewhere. There should be a gold foil crafter too. Gold foil crafter. Titanium housing crafter. Do we need... Well, everything else there I'm going to ignore for the moment. Hoping, fingers crossed, definitely hoping that the, I wonder how much ore is left here. I don't really have a context for that, so I suppose I need to clear 15,000 construction paste before it's totally done. That's getting a little close. I'm hoping we don't need power to make titanium housings. I want to just stick them down here. Let me make a one-way so I can use those two beside it. So gold foil crafters I can make. I'm gonna need gold foil to do that. And then I wanted to make a directional storage hopper. That's what they're called.
Crafting.
And see if that lets me build beside that. I'm just gonna go ahead and fill up these. I know I'm gonna need them soon. Though that might have been dumb because I'm about to break this. Directional storage hoppers. I want directional storage hoppers on the first page too. Let's put the directional storage hopper in 5. And then put our extractor in 0. I believe this will be able to 6 tin plates. Let's double check it. And set up gold foil. Yeah, I'm starting. So initially, it will stick your anything new you create in your hotbar until you've filled up all your hotbars. However, it doesn't. Awesome. Gold foil is looking for attached hoppers. So I guess it requires multiple gold something. I'm gonna want another directional one.
Crafting. Crafting.
That worked. That was not what I expected them to look like. But okay. Looking for 5 gold wire, so I need... I actually put this a little too close to the wall, didn't I? Let's move it all down. So let's get an extruder. Apparently I'm already carrying around an extrusion plant. Oh, it was for the lithium, which I'm gonna need to put back together. I'm gonna go ahead and use it for now, though. Might as well put the extruder here. And then put a directional storage hopper here. And a gold foil crafter here. Make sure this is remove only. And in theory, this should work. I'm gonna go ahead and add that. Here we go. Gold wire. And this, the directional, was what I needed. These can run successfully beside each other now. You just have to use the directional. You can't use the non-directional storage hopper, which unfortunately means you have to do the 100s now because Tricky's storage hopper does not have directionals yet. Or well, I don't know if that they'll be adding it to Tricky's actually. It's an older mod, and at a certain point, it's amazingly useful, but nobody's gonna sit around making a mod for forever. So I don't know what's up, if that's still updated or not. There we go. I knew there was something big in there. We got gold foil. Next we needed titanium housings, for which we need more gold foil. We're actually gonna need, and then we're gonna need the secondary upgrade module maker, but it looked like we need 2 titanium housing crafters because we're gonna have to set that up as well. We got plenty of that. We're probably gonna run low on, well, everything, technically. Let me go grab more copper. Make sure, oh, I was out of that. And run myself out of coal. That was getting pretty low on coal too. But I should have got enough gold foil now. For 1 titanium housing.
Crafting.
And what does this want? Turn 6 plates into 1 housing. So we're gonna need Honestly, it's going to be the same setup as this. Directional. I don't think I have a plate maker on me. And while I'm at it, I should replace that extrusion plan I used.
Crafting.
And then this. This needs to be remove only. And then this needs to be full of titanium, was it? So we got 8 gold foil. We're gonna need even more gold in here. I was being a little optimistic about only need a couple hundred of these ores, I think. But this is working. I want to get one of them made so I can go start working on the secondary upgrade module area, which I'm going to do temporary again because I still haven't begun my room for the what am I talking about? Oh, the powered stuff. Actually, I should probably be finishing up this room since I'm just sitting here. So, oh, I'm going to need to put the grommets in first. In order to make grommets, I'm going to need some more materials. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Alright, why do I not have this? Oh, this requires power too. Okay. This is getting moved, but I'll give it power for now. It only requires a lot of power.
Insufficient energy.
But we got our 1 titanium housing. Oh, we got 3 of them. Ah, that's plenty. I hate to
Energy is required.
run around with 6 iron plates when I could just let it finish. So let's fill myself back up. And run it back over. It's like carrying around water in a spoon, except you're carrying around electricity. There we go. And we should be empty. We are empty. Alright, we'll come back and set something else here later. Something that does not require power. And I think that might be a good place to end this episode. So, for the next episode, I'm going to start up a room for all this powered stuff I'm apparently going to need. I'm going to need... So I like to do it with actually 2 rooms. One room above, which has my conveyor lines, and one room below that is just a mess of PTGs and coal and lasers shooting around power in order to transfer energy through the energy grommets to the room above. And so it looks a mess, but then it's closed off in a room that I never have to come back into again as long as I don't run out of coal. So that's going to be yet another room to do. So next time I think what I'm going to do is hopefully I will in between keep emptying out these, and hopefully this will start clearing. I will finish this room which I'm going to make a little long, but not too long. I can always expand it later if I need to. And I'm going to start another room somewhere, maybe right over there, for our powered manufacturing with the energy room beneath. That should be good, and hopefully at some point we'll reach the original goal, all this work, because I just want a smelter for the copper. A better smelter for the copper, stick a cap on it. I also, once I have that powered room though, I can start making the cargo lift rack rails. And we're going to need to drill down a hole one for every ore to start bringing up ore and set up a room of happy smelters just churning out bars, which can replace this manual feed I've been doing here. So I hope that was useful. Go ahead and subscribe if you're into that sort of thing. And please keep leaving me the awesome comments. I'm really having a lot of fun getting improvements, suggestions on how to improve what I'm doing, or keybinds that I had forgotten about or whatever. That's been really useful. Bye-bye.